What is up, 49ers faithful? Here with CG Ruthless. And as you guys can see, we have changed the background to match our Tuesday show. And we will start off like we always do with a beer review, a little happy hour. And normally we kick it off with CG. What are you sipping on today, CG?
Oh, yeah. I'm sipping a Voodoo Ranger, but this different version. Not the juice one, but I'm going to give it a try. So I got it under my drink, so let's drop it in. Let's see what it tastes like. Not bad.
What's the alcohol percentage on that?
Oh, so the
What's
alcohol,
up, Jimmy?
9%.
How are you?
9% alcohol.
What's up, Daniel? How's it going, guys? Glad to have you in.
Very strong. But I actually like the other one that you were talking about because I had it last week. I think this one's better, but this one's just a little too strong, but it's good with me.
Yeah, that one's 9%, you said?
Yeah, 9% alcohol. It's got the IPA or something like the one that you got like the other time.
Yeah, I'm sipping on an IPA too today. It's just a home style IPA.
Oh, okay.
It's a Tennessee craft beer. This IPA is not very strong. It's only 6%, so it's a little bit more of a cloudy beer. So you can kind of see it's like hazy IPA.
But this taste of this one kind of gives me the vibes of Samuel Adams, kind of, because that one's a stronger beer too.
Yeah, it's got that really like aromatic, like IPA hoppy thing. Yeah, I had that one. I haven't had it on the show, but I have had that one before, and it's pretty good, pretty decent. So you got Jimmy here saying, "What's good, CG?
What's going on, Jimmy? Good to see you." Daniel Barry, good to see you.
So it's kind of slow, guys, news wise, but we do have more Brandon Aiyuk drama. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit today. And so we're just going to hop right in and, talk about Brandon Aiyuk flying in. We all saw the IG photo of him in the Bay Area. He did actually meet with the Niners at their headquarters. No details have come out of that meeting. What are your initial thoughts about that?
Man, like, Aiyuk's kind of been just playing this little kid game, bro. Like, there's a better way for him to approach this, but I don't know, man. It seems very frustrating just for us fans. Like, I'm hoping a deal gets done, but at this point, I can care less if he gets traded or not. At this point, man, like, come on, man. Do you really think you're worth $3 million?
Yeah, I think there's still quite a bit of time left to go. In this negotiation, I don't think it's over. I don't think that by any stretch, I think that they're very far apart. Brandon Aiyuk meeting with them in person was a little bit unusual. Players normally don't do that. Like, we didn't see Debo do that. His agent handled everything, even though he deleted everything and kind of, took that approach. He wasn't really outspoken that much in the media. He did a little bit. He asked for the trade through his agent. But Brandon is kind of acting a little bit differently. He's throwing up the TikTok things with these staged videos with his wife filming him, and then the Commanders' new quarterback there. So just weird antics, I think, and it's very unusual for me to see a professional athlete not just allowing their agent to do their job. So, I think the next topic is Ryan Clark came out and said that he's disgruntled. I'm not sure about the wording. If he was so disgruntled, wouldn't he have already formally asked for a trade?
Well, the thing with Ryan Clark is, like, I just, no offense to Ryan Clark, it's just I can't trust his sources. It's like his sources is kind of like, you think of guys like Mike Florio. Those guys don't have no good sources when it comes down to it. They always kind of push the narrative too far when it's not even necessary. So, like, when he said disgruntled, like, where are you getting the word disgruntled? He hasn't demanded a trade or nothing yet.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between frustrated and disgruntled. Disgruntled is like, I want to burn the building down, like, sort of like Office Space, like, I'm going to burn the building down. Like, that's disgruntled, right? Like, he's not disgruntled. He hasn't gotten to that point yet. I think he's doing some childish antics and has a few things like that going on. And but Ryan Clark, we remember, I don't know if you remember, but I do, the whole Brock thing when he basically said ESPN forced me to lie. So, like, he's not authentic. He's not authentic about anything. And this guy's just a ESPN blowhard. He's just another talking head. And to me, it was like Brandon Aiyuk and Jaden Daniels walked into a gym, and then there's this ESPN blowhard in there, and he's like saying disgruntled, and he's going to meet with the Niners, and he's going to walk in there with all his demands and making out to be like probably more than what it really is.
Yeah. Like his type of reports are just like, it's kind of like he has animosity towards us for no reason. Like maybe he was a Trey Lance guy and maybe he didn't like how the Niners approached the business. Maybe that's why he doesn't have no respect for Brock. Like there's a lot of hate for poor Brock, unfortunately.
This guy's opinion changes when the wind blows. So
yeah,
I don't really trust him as a good source. He's on a huge network. He's paid to make big stories up out of nothing, and that's kind of what I feel like he's doing with this.
He's taken different routes, but he's never been quite successful when it comes to like being his own sports guy. Like when he does the I Am Athlete or whatever they got going on. Like at least Fred Taylor's objective. At least quite a few other dudes are objected about it. But
yeah, speaking of his podcast, I did hear this afternoon that Brandon Aiyuk will be on that podcast. So we will get a little bit more of his side. He, probably what was it about a month ago? He was on with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco, and he wasn't like dramatic there. He was just like, "Pay me what I'm worth."
Yeah, and
what player is not going to say that?
I think he's going to stick with his guns and just say it. I think he's just going to clear that air with Ryan and said, I wasn't disgruntled or this or that.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not disgruntled, I mean, he could express that. He could say, I think you kind of portrayed what was actually going on. Like, yeah, I'm frustrated. Negotiations are frustrating. Like, I want a new deal. I want more money, and I'm not getting it. So, yeah, I'm frustrated. But disgruntled, like, he makes it sound like he's walking into the 49ers headquarters, kicking over trash cans and like demanding money. And I don't. First of all, I don't think Brandon Aiyuk's that type of guy. But
oh, what's up to them OG from the 559, man? This guy is a DB kind of guy, man. If you want to put some DBs into his perspective, this is the kind of guy to put in. He's kind of like one of my OG guys from my followers. Actually, you actually like him actually the most because he actually educated a certain content creator and put him right on his place, bro, and blocked him ever since. This guy knows
on Twitter, man. Follow me, I'll follow you back.
Oh no, he doesn't do Twitter no more. But
okay.
No, but personal, like he's a good dude of mine. But he knows his stuff. I think if you wanted to get his perspective on the DBs, he watches all the films and all this stuff, and he tells you how he likes those players and all that stuff and tells you what they need to work on.
Nice. So, yeah, I mean, do you want to talk about this? Because this is, I think, should be anyway. There are some people that probably might not really get this concept. But
the leverage on us is, dude, we have another wide receiver that could just learn our playbook, and he's already building chemistry with Brock Purdy. So I think the fact that we drafted a wide receiver gives us the leverage at this point. Like, Brandon Aiyuk,
two wide receivers, right? And like, who knows? Cowan could turn out to be the next Tyreek Hill or something. Like we got
or Tank Dell,
yeah. They insulated themselves. But the way that I look at this, the leverage aspect of it is that he's under contract, $14 million. He's under contract to play this year. I mean, that's a decent salary. It's not the $30 million that he wants, but it is a respectable salary in the NFL. Like, not every wide receiver is making $14 million a year. In fact, most of them aren't. Juwan Jennings is not even making half of that. So
Juwan Jennings is making Dollar Tree money right there. So that's
right. So
that's what I like about him.
Obviously Jennings doesn't bring what BA does, but what I'm saying is that he's making good money. And
he does what we need him to do. He does the blocking, the dirty work. He's not the diva that's going to ask for a lot of targets, but when he doesn't make the most out of his opportunities. So the thing with our leverage is, man, we can actually like for Brandon Aiyuk, he can hold out as much as he wants, but we got that fifth-year option and we got the franchise tag we can use against him. So
yeah, and even further than that, they could force him to hold out. He's going to lose game checks after game check after game check. Does he really want to do that much money? And then he winds up only making like $6 million this year. I mean, so that's another leverage point, right? Like the Niners could say, we're going to table this. Let's look at it in 2025. Let's put on $14 million this year. we can continue to negotiate throughout the season, and maybe in this we can do an extension mid-season. I mean, there's no law against that. There's no rule saying that they can't extend him at any point. So they say, let's get you in the building. Let's keep hammering away at this. Just get you in for training camp. And I don't know if he will or will not, but if they're like, we're absolutely not trading you, Brandon, so your only choices are $14 million or hold out, your choice.
I would think holdout would be the least what he would want to do, because we've seen some athletes do this in the past, and it never benefits them. So, I mean, he's not an offensive lineman that's coming off injuries, so that's not going to be the advantage for him. He can't do what Trent Williams does.
Right.
There's a difference.
And, you know, kind of playing devil's advocate for BA, like BA can go in there and say, well, you don't know what this kid, Ricky Pearsall, is going to look like as a pro. Yeah, he's a great college player, but what's he going to look like when he's playing against NFL talent, NFL corners? Like, let's see how he looks in training camp. And actually, that could bite Brandon. Like, if he's like, go ahead and see. And then all of a sudden, Ricky Pearsall turns into Jerry Rice. And then he's like, oh, crap, now what I do to myself? Now I'm really screwed. Because then what it's going to look like to other teams when he hits free agency is like, damn, like, this guy's a little bit of a diva. Do we really want to pay him $30 million?
Yeah, like that can be something that backfires him. Like, let's say Pearsall has like something similar to a Puka season where Puka comes like the same way. You know, what if Pearsall the first 4 weeks puts up like 400 damn yards on
right,
like
and
receiving yards
without the realm of possibility, or even Cowing. Like, what if Cowing just comes out of nowhere? Because you know how the Niners are with late round picks. They just come out of like George Kittle, Lenore, like all these guys are late round picks. So
I think we need to pay Lenore, bro.
Yeah, me too. I think that should happen. But maybe that's why the Niners are reluctant, because they know that they're going to have to pay Greenlaw and Hufanga and Lenore and all these defensive guys at some point. So maybe that's why they're like, we can afford 26. We can push it out to 2027. And that's what we can do. Take it or leave it. But I feel like they're about to pull the plug on that deal, potentially.
I think Lenore would be the smart move for us to keep long term, because I know we can solve that issue going forward with the nickel spot and all that. And then you look at Hufanga, like if Hufanga could come back the same, but then again, I would probably want to bet on extending a Hufanga, because what if he comes back the same? What if he comes back a little better? You're actually kind of making yourself a bargain out of that move.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to move on here, just keeping it on Brandon Aiyuk. A trade is a very unlikely, but I don't think it's impossible. And in fact, I was just on Twitter with Mike Silver. You and I talked a little bit before. So I was just on Twitter with Mike Silver, and he was basically still throwing it on the table that a trade is very possible. And he even threw in Debo's name as well. He's like, those two things are not married to each other, and Debo could also still be traded. And Mike Silver is pretty close to the team, so he's kind of dropping that out there on Twitter for everybody to see. And
he's a secondhand smoke reporter, but he gets on point what he got.
Yeah, he has some sources in there somewhere, some legit sources, because he reports a lot of factual things. So
I call him a secondhand smoke reporter because he does kind of get his info from.
Well, regardless, he's still saying that, I was like basically doing the Dumb and Dumber, like, so you're telling me there's a chance? And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, there's a chance. He even threw Debo's name into that equation. So I think that, it's quite possible. It's quite possible.
I usually ask the people who are still followed by Silver, because I can't even get the info out of that guy. So, yeah, but I know he's on point. He's actually been on point with certain reports, like the other offseason where we were talking about, like he was talking about like how the Trey Lance trade was going to happen last year. And it actually turned out to be true. And then there was other reports, like other stuff. So I think for some people who don't like Silver, you might have to have some second considerations with him a little bit, just because.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think he's reported a lot more correctly than incorrectly. And usually when he reports something, he doesn't state it as like gospel or fact. He's saying that there's a chance, right? Like there is still a chance that either or Debo or Aiyuk could get traded. And I found it really interesting that he did include Debo in that equation, because as far as it seemed like Debo was in OTAs, he's working out, him and Kyle are like giving each other daps at OTAs. So that was pretty interesting to hear that, to hear him be thrown into that mix.
I mean, Debo is considered in the option, but the problem is a team has to agree to take his contract because we're not off the books.
I mean, Debo does a lot for a team, though. I think that his contract's fair. If you look at him as a running back and a receiver, you kind of got to look at him as both. That's a bargain.
I don't even want to think about trading him this year. Maybe by next year we will. But
yeah. Well, the reason I think he threw Debo's name out is to say now we can afford Brandon Aiyuk. If Debo's out of there, now we can afford Brandon Aiyuk.
Yeah, and that's where Brandon Aiyuk can't say nothing else, and actually it frees up.
Once again, then you're relying on 2 rookies.
Yeah, and then it opens up the contract extensions with maybe possibly than we ever thought before. I think getting rid of Debo would probably be the toughest decision, but if you trade him, you're actually saving a little more money. And if the team takes that contract, not only that you can afford Aiyuk, you can actually afford to pay maybe 3 or 4 other of your core players. Like maybe Aaron Banks won't take a fat contract. You extend him now, he probably would save you some money. But if you extend Hufanga and Lenore, you're actually going to save more coming into next offseason because they're going to demand a little more money.
Right.
Like as much as you don't like Grant, he has a point. Like, why did we not even bother to extend Aiyuk at that point? The contract, like his value is moving up now.
Well, yeah, and then going to the other spectrum, Lombardi was like, it takes 2 to tango, right? Like if Brandon Aiyuk didn't want to sign because he wanted to wait and see what Justin Jefferson was going to get, that makes sense too, right? Like from a business standpoint, if Ryan Williams, Brandon's agent, says, hold off, let's see what these other guys get. And then boom, all the dominoes start falling. Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all these guys, and then Justin Jefferson, all these dominoes start falling and we start seeing dollar amounts. That helps Brandon's situation out. So if Brandon tells the 49ers, no, I don't want to sign at that point in time, maybe the Niners did offer him something early on because they're like, let's lock this guy up at Debo money. Yeah. And then they threw an offer out there knowing that they were going to take advantage of him. And the agent was like, no, we're not playing this game. So,
yeah, we're not really playing this game. We're trying to see if he can take something reasonable, but I think this is going to have to come down to the point where, you know what, we might have to just cough up the money at this point. Like, if he wants this amount, okay, just get it over with. But nah, we're trying to see if he can take a lower deal, but I don't think he's going to do that because it's hard to negotiate with Parat Marate. He is trying to save the Niners financially. So
yeah, he's hard-nosed, and then everything goes to John Lynch, and then it goes probably to Jed York. I don't think that Jed York's that hands-on anymore, but I do think with these bigger dollar amounts, like Nick Bosa, for instance, last year, he probably has to give the final stamp of approval. Like,
he has to approve it, but he doesn't have no saying on what goes on here. So that's like I think under the circumstances, you have to look into Brandon Aiyuk feels like he's worth the same amount as St. Brown. Maybe it's a fair argument, maybe because he's not getting a lot of targets.
How would you justify that though? If you're because like statistically, Aiyuk has some things better than Brown, and then Brown has some things better than Aiyuk. So if you line them up side by side, they kind of wash each other out. So I don't disagree with you, but like if you're Brandon and Aiyuk's agent, how are you approaching the 49ers with that?
Well, the approach of the best approach for Brandon Aiyuk is I haven't been targeted a lot. I can be a lot more productive than St. Brown. That would be his argument. Like, hey man, I didn't get a lot of touches. I didn't get a lot of targets. I was mostly asked to block a lot. So the one thing he does better than St. Brown is he actually does good in the blocking game. And
absolutely. He's
a good route runner.
Yeah. He's probably a top 5 route runner, and he's probably top 5 pass blocking wide receiver. And those things are very conducive to Kyle Shanahan's offensive system. Yeah. So how do you replace that?
It really depends on how you replace it. It's just when you're coming into Kyle's offense, you have to learn this shit, or else you're in the doghouse.
Yeah, so that's a good segue into this. Like, if you were to trade for Brandon Aiyuk, he's not the only good blocking wide receiver in the entire NFL, right? Like, there's other guys out there that would sell out just for the chance to try to get a Super Bowl ring. So, what players, if you're talking just player for player straight up, you could throw in draft picks too if you want. But like, if we're just talking player for player, what players would you consider?
Well, if you think about it, like, okay, so like we have to trade him to a team that just doesn't like, like he's going to get his money, but it has to be a team that's really going to give us somebody we want in return. So I would want to trade within the AFC. So I don't want to trade nowhere near the conference or the division. So if I wanted to get somebody like, okay, well, I feel confident with the receivers we drafted. Okay. So I think with Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowan, that's going to fill that void. But I think the other need we need to get is actually get somebody that can actually, get some offensive line depth, or maybe another pass rusher, because you can never run out of pass rushers. Like there's certain teams you can make a trade with, like. But if I wanted to get a wide receiver, in that trade, maybe Tennessee for Hopkins, and maybe you get like a third round in return for that trade by just swapping receivers. Maybe that would be a good.
I mean, Hopkins, he's a little bit older, but I think he's still like productive enough, and he would fit in because he's a veteran. This is a veteran locker room. He's a pro's pro,
and he would make good. He would make them very competitive. Like him and I think him and Ward would put it aside, but they would make each other better.
Yeah, I mean,
I would think that would be the best trade.
Yeah, Hopkins is a workhorse. I would say Ridley too, but Ridley's history is a little bit questionable. So.
But I trust Hopkins more because there's something left in the tank with him. And plus, in the short term, it's not like he's going to be the guy long term. So you get somebody. Amari Cooper is a good route runner, but he's not a good blocker. So I don't think he would fit well.
Just to answer your question, Grandizer, no, he has not been extended. He's now on Twitter or social media because somebody reported that the Niners were, trying to shop him and trade him. And he's like, oh, I thought you weren't trying to trade me and shop me. So more drama, more of the same, more drama, no deal. That's where we're at. We're just discussing some of the logistics that happened yesterday.
I think these reports are starting to be BS, bro, because it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I always love sources have said, who are your sources? Why does nobody ever name a source? Like, I'm like,
they're just afraid of credibility.
I think instant BS when somebody says sources. Sources say so.
Well, trust me. I know sources. Trust me.
Right. Yeah.
like you know what those guys are? They remind me more of Beavis and Butthead. Like they think they know what they're talking about. Oh yeah, this is what's gonna happen. Oh yeah.
Right.
Like, that's what's gonna happen, guys.
Right.
They're a bunch of Beavis and Buttheads.
So, I mean, for me, like if it was just a trade, like a wide receiver for wide receiver, I mean, I think that the best way to go for the 49ers is to hold out into training camp and maybe even a preseason game. If Brandon Aiyuk's holding out, don't trade him until you see what you have in Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowan. If these guys look like they can play and they look like they belong, then you're like, okay, BA for sure has no more leverage. And actually, we might not even need him. So keep holding out, buddy.
Or he might just have to take the lesser deal. Maybe he might have to take the $26 million and say, you know what, I'll take your original offer. Screw it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the Bengals make sense. T. Higgins, I think he's playing under the franchise tag. Or, there's a lot of receivers in the league that I don't think that there would be that far of a drop-off, at least in receiving. Blocking, yes. Route running, maybe.
Yeah. But. So would you trade? So like, let's say hypothetically we can swap receivers, right? Would you trade Aiyuk for CeeDee Lamb?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I mean,
let's say it's
contract. And you're a Sooners fan, so of course we're going to say yes to CeeDee Lamb.
No, but I think he's actually pretty good at it. Everybody gives him credit for it too. So it's not like,
I mean, CD had, if you put the numbers side by side, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, identical.
I think the contract would be more reasonable than Aiyuk. No offense, but
no. I think Jerry's going to go Looney Tunes and pay the crap out of.
He's like $35 million Jefferson.
Yeah, Jefferson got 35. Okay, I'm going to pay CD 40. Because he's senile.
Too much.
Yeah, he's senile. But I would definitely do that deal. I don't think Dallas would do that deal. For me, I think that.
Mike Evans would be a nice trade.
Mike Evans,
but he's already at the end of his career. I think he just wants to finish in Tampa.
Right. But if we're only needing like a 1 or 2 year stopgap, Evans can still play.
He can still produce.
I think I would do that one. I think I would.
A veteran,
do that one. So that's one that I would do.
A big, tall,
Godwin for Aiyuk.
Godwin would be like a nice system fit. Actually, he wouldn't be that bad of a choice, but.
And then giving Baker Mayfield Brandon Aiyuk.
That would be a good one. The one trade that might sound crazy. I don't know if this will be. I don't know if this is a possibility, but let's say this was a trade. Let's say we get Aiyuk for freaking Devontae Adams. Would you take it straight up? And
100%.
you take Adams' original contract.
Yeah.
You take his original contract, and the Raiders have to pay.
Don't even have to think about it. That's the 26 because Devontae Adams is at 26. That would be the 26 that was on the table. I would 100% do Devontae Adams for Brandon straight up.
Okay,
not even think about it. I would pull.
Not even think about it, and his contract's already there. You can extend it too.
I would pull the trigger. Boom, Devontae Adams back in the Bay Area where he grew up, East Palo Alto. Yeah. Sign me up.
Oh, I like the one that Granted just brought up. Aiyuk to the Broncos for Cortland Sutton. It's only if he can stay healthy. He's been having injury issues.
Yeah. That's the caveat with Cortland Sutton is health concerns, but maybe
I would hesitate with Adams.
But I think Peyton's system kind of puts his players in kind of a bad situation. Like a lot of those guys get hung up to dry. So maybe Kyle could get Cortland in a little bit more space, and that would work out better. But I think player for player trades are almost non-existent in the NFL. Can you even recall the last one a player for player trade has been done?
I think it's happened before where they've swapped players before, but it's just like
doesn't happen like the NBA or
doesn't happen. But they have to get a compensation in return for that. So like, I don't think
that's why I said player for player. But if they can trust Ricky and Jacob Cowing, and they can deal Aiyuk, maybe they do get an actual better haul for him draft pick wise. Maybe they get a first, maybe they get a third or a conditional, and maybe they, next year they're loaded and then they can get whatever they need or want.
Yeah. The only receivers that I'd probably be okay with trading with Aiyuk with is a CeeDee Lamb, of course, because he's still up and coming. And we can understand his price reason, so it would be reasonable to pay him up a little more. Devontae Adams, his contract, you can take his current contract and kind of add more into his contract. And then you look at DeAndre Hopkins. It's a 1 year deal out of his current contract. I think he signed a 1 year. I think it's a 2 or 3 year deal. You can actually just play Hopkins throughout that contract, and he gives you good veteran experience.
Right. Yeah.
And him and Ward would make each other better instead of all what's been going on. They would put it aside. So
I think out of all the veterans that you named, I love the Devontae Adams thing. Because he's going to the Raiders and the Raiders suck. So like go be with.
And they like to waste careers with other players. And plus, if he wants to play for the Raiders, he can just get traded. Just give us Adams. We'll take.
You're in the AFC West, so you're going fishing every January. You're on vacation, bro, because Raiders are not going to take that division or even get a wild card. Send him over there. He's in the AFC. Don't got to worry about him in the NFC. Bye-bye. Sayonara.
If Raiders give us Devontae Adams, man, I'm taking that shit in the bag. But if the Raiders are that dumb enough to give us Max Crosby, I'll take that shit in a heartbeat, man.
I will say this about the Raiders. The Raiders are younger. So maybe Aiyuk would be more attractive to them for their long-term building.
I think Adams would be a good short term for us to build a championship in that.
Right. Our window's closing. Guys are getting older. So that would be a seamless transition. That would be a fair deal, I think.
I think if we wanted to trade for a certain good player, it would have to be somebody like I think Aiyuk for Crosby would be a little bit of a good trade, but we would have to get.
They're not going to give up that. That's their blue chipper. They're not giving up Crosby.
But let's say if they did offer that trade, would you take that right now?
100%, yeah, but they wouldn't. But yeah,
they've done some dumb trades
in fantasy land. Yes, I would.
Raiders, they do dumb trades all the time. They do that.
That's true. Mark Davis, he has a really.
Well, you can't trust it, bro. Like you might say, oh, they ain't going to do that. Well,
I mean, Mark
did it to Khalil Mack.
Mark Davis's haircut was a bad choice, so I think that
Mark Davis's car is a bad choice too.
But yeah, I would. You know what? I would love to see Brock thrown to Devontae Adams. Holy crap! Can you imagine?
Dude, and he runs. Dude, he's like the best route runner too, and he's the best releaser too. So think about getting the most established wide receiver who just wants to win a ring. Yeah. I don't think it's got nothing to do with his fan pride with the Raiders anymore. I think he just wants a Super Bowl. So he wants to come to a contending team, and if the Raiders are not a contending team, he might just go to the other Bay Area team and just get a ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it.
But just imagine if the Raiders were that desperate for Brandon Aiyuk and say, hey, you know what? We like Aiyuk. You know what? We'll give you 2 good players. Just take this deal and just give us a first or second round, and we can make it happen. You can have Crosby and Adams. You got a deal.
Yeah.
Would you take it and rob him? That would probably give Raider fans heart attack. Like, shit, we got rid of Crosby and freaking.
Yeah,
Adams.
I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, I think it would have to be like we're sending Leonard Floyd, Drake Jackson, and Brandon
somebody like that,
or like Max Crosby, and that's never happened in the NFL.
That's not going to happen. But you look at you look at the other players. Like, I think that TJ Watt is more of a possibility because you could actually trade Aiyuk for TJ Watt if you wanted to, if the Steelers really valued them.
I don't know. Those like premier edge rushers are about as valuable as like top 10 quarterbacks. So I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know. So I'll open this up, or we can open this up for a 49ers Q&A. I know that there's some people on Twitter right now, so if you want to hop over to either channel, CG Ruthless or 49ers Sports Talk, and jump in the comments there, that'd be great. There's already some people here, so we can get into these questions. We have Michael Nobriga. He says, trade BA for Patrick Surtain in Denver. For me, it's a no. And here's why. Patrick Surtain's production fell quite a bit last year. Very, very low PFF grade. PFF is not the be-all, end-all. I get that. But just even the film, he was getting beat left and right by, average receivers. And he looked a lot better the year before. So maybe in this defense, maybe. But BA for a corner right away, I think we're set at corner, to be honest. There were some reports today that came out about Yiadom, and John Lynch said he reminded him of him as a player. He didn't get started fast and all that, but then he turned into an all-pro Hall of Famer. And so John Lynch made that statement about Yiadom today. And then there's Renardo Green, and then Luter's finally healthy. And do we even need a corner? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we need I think the most important depth we really need is there. I don't think anybody's talking about it as much as maybe offensive line depth. It could be the most important spot because what happens with Jake Brendel? Like, what happens if he can't stay healthy?
Or even a center, but Connor Williams is still out there.
So. He's still out there, but can we take a chance on him? I want to take a flyer on him. Maybe he beats out Brendel.
Keep Brendel as insurance and plug Williams right in.
And he can play guard too, so it's not like you get the versatility. But
I said that back in March. I was pounding the table for Connor Williams, but
because of the concussion, I thought he retired.
Yeah, he finally got cleared medically, so he's going to do it. And there's also, did Bakhtiari get signed anywhere?
He hasn't been signed, but I wouldn't want to sign this guy for like insurance policy and all that stuff.
He seems kind of injury prone.
But you can have him as your backup. So he can be fresh. Like, okay, maybe he can beat out McKivitz and all that stuff, but don't you want insurance in case the injury happens? Like, can you trust Jalen Moore as your backup? I don't think so.
I think that he's improved, though. I think that he did really well filling in last year. You get better with experience. You can't get better without experience. So I think that – and one thing that Trent Williams said when Jalen Moore first came in before the injury, he said that he thought he was like, the next guy. And he made those statements about him. I think the injuries have set him back a little bit.
I think he's just being too nice to the guy. I don't know.
Probably. But he hasn't really said it about not McGlinchey. Well, yeah, McGlinchey too, but McKivitz. He hasn't said it about anybody else really. He said it about Jalen Moore. So
he said it about, but then he said some good things about McKivitz holding up pretty well too. I think you've said it before.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was just telling the truth there. I think that McKivitz has been marginally getting better every year. Maybe not like dramatically, but I think he's been better.
If you think about the previous year, like the other year when we were at the conference championship, he even said that McKivitz even played so well, even at the point where he said he should have just let him play when he wasn't at full health.
McKivitz is streaky. I think
he is streaky.
He's like in one game he'll look like a all pro, and then 2 games after that he looks like dog crap. I think.
There's a game he does look like a stud, and then there's the day you're like saying, "Is that Mike McGlinchey back?"
Right? Yeah. Ole looking like a matador, just letting people in like a turnstile.
Yeah. I think I don't know. Like, this is a good question. I mean, I I'm not even concerned about Jake Moody, man. Like, the guy was a rookie kicker. I know he had his moments, but dude, that's just what you're gonna have with your kicker. It's not like he missed a lot of damn kicks. I mean, what did he miss? Like 4 kicks in the regular season, and I think
What was the question? I missed it.
No, he asked my name. He put my name, but he put like, "What do you think of Jake Moody?" I think the problem is we got a kicker going forward. Even though the draft pick was a little too high, but if you felt like that was the kicker you were to get in the draft, you take him. But what he missed.
I mean, he broke a record.
Yeah, he missed 4 kicks in the regular. Yeah, he missed 4 kicks in the regular season. Okay, I'll admit that, but come on, do all these kickers perfect? No, they're not.
Especially as rookies. I thought he did really well. I think he got a lot of unfair criticism throughout the season because he missed a few should have makes, but and then he had the issue with getting iced. Like people were calling timeouts on him, and he got in his head. He'd miss a kick, but I think that big time pressure came when the lights were on in the Super Bowl, and he made that, record breaking kick. So I think,
we got to just, I don't think we should be concerned about Moody now because what we just saw from him as his rookie, we're hoping he can only get better. I mean, what was it? His longest field goal was 57 yards he made. Not bad. Usually rookie kickers have time to develop, but yeah, would I prefer drafting a kicker later in the draft? Yes, but if you felt like this guy was going to be gone in the 4th round, then you take him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody still thinks it was a little high for a kicker, but it wasn't as bad. We can always say it wasn't as bad as Sebastian Janikowski, Al Davis.
Oh, first round.
So we can always go to that.
Well, I mean, that's just how the typical Raiders are, man. They like to go for that spot. Like, I bet you if their punter was a good kicker and he had a long distance, they'd probably get him in the 2nd or maybe 1st round.
I got one more Brandon Aiyuk question for you that I just thought of. If he does decide to hold out and the Niners are root planted in the ground saying we're not trading you, how many weeks do you think it is before Brandon shows up?
So how many weeks would it take into the season? So
I say week 1 just because I don't think he wants to miss game checks.
I think week 1 because I think, like you said, I don't think he wants to miss out playing. But the problem is he's going to be behind the depth chart because Ricky and those other guys are probably going to get ahead of the curve a little bit. So
yeah, so that would hurt him also. So and then the other portion of that topic is how toxic is he in the locker room? I mean, especially if he has a 3-catch game, is he kicking garbage cans over? Is he throwing tantrums in the locker room? Is he throwing his helmet?
I've heard some reviews from him as a teammate, and everybody has said he hasn't been like that. He's kind of kept his.
I don't think he would be like that externally, but I think he would be like that internally. I think he'd be heated inside. Every time he catches a touchdown, he's thinking cha-ching money, right? There's that element. There's the human nature of I am earning more than 14 million right now. And then could he become disgruntled? Could the locker room get toxic? Because that type of energy is not good. Even if he's not external about it, that type of energy kind of emanates in a locker room. I mean, you've played organized sports and if there's that one dude who's everybody feels it.
No, you can tell. You can tell when you got a disgruntled teammate. Like the way how you look at it is when the guy talks his shit and says this about the coaching staff and throws them under the bus or the teammates, then that's toxic right there. I've had to deal with some teammates like that before where there was a lot of pointing fingers. There was a lot of stuff thrown under the bus with the coaching staff, but you didn't see it with Brandon Aiyuk.
I don't think Kyle Shanahan would let it get to that point.
Nah, he wouldn't. But I don't think you've seen Aiyuk through the coaching staff under the bus or anybody else. So I think he's kind of been – maybe he's just pushing for his money, of course, because that's what you look out for is your business perspective. But as long as he's not throwing the coaching staff under the bus, then –
Who are you talking about, Grandizer?
Don't the Browns have – I think he's talking about the Cleveland Browns' issues with the wide receivers.
Who is it?
I think they're having issues with man, dude, they got some good talented wide receivers, but a lot of them have some issues. I think he's referring to Amari Cooper or some other receiver. I forget his name. But everybody has issues at the position, bro. A lot of these wide receivers don't seem to want to step. Would
you trade Amari Cooper for Brandon Aiyuk?
the one thing that you'll like about Amari Cooper is he's a great route runner, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to do the dirty work.
And he also, I don't think he has a problem separating, but I think he has a problem separating a lot. So I think almost all his catches are closely contested.
I mean, Kyle can design plays that's perfect for Cooper, but it wouldn't be like he wouldn't be the kind of guy that does the blocking. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would do that one either. I think there's only a select few that I would probably consider. If it was just straight up Brandon Aiyuk for X player, I think there's only a couple guys.
It would be DeAndre Hopkins because of his veteran experience. Maybe you put that aside with him and Ward. Devontae Adams, you can just trade him for that contract they currently got, and you can actually get him and extend his contract and save money out of it. But
give him more guaranteed, lessen the cap hit, and then you get a cheaper, almost better, more polished at least with the route running Brandon.
Yeah, you can make trades out of like you said. T. Higgins is another value trade because he's still on a contract. But if you can get T. Higgins and make him take less of a deal than Aiyuk, then maybe I would take T. Higgins because he's a big body receiver.
Yeah, I think T would be the other guy that I would consider. I'd probably have to look at everybody's depth chart because I don't have, everybody in mind that I would consider. I'd have to take a deeper look at that. But I think Devontae Adams, you threw it out there. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. That is the guy.
That would be the perfect sense one. That would be the perfect one to swap.
And I don't think he's super happy in Las Vegas because they don't have a quarterback. They took his guy, Derek Carr, and traded him to the Saints. So he doesn't want to be there.
And maybe going to another direction would probably get him away from all the problems. And maybe he's just getting paid to lie about this organization. Yeah. Every player
put him on a Super Bowl roster.
I don't think he's going to complain about that because I think all he wanted to do was contend. But I think going with Derek Carr was probably something he always wanted to do. So it backfired him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's see. Do we have any other questions?
Oh, I think like Granddad said. Here's a good question. So CG and Drew, if Amari Cooper would get traded to San Fran, hanging with Mr. Cooper would apply that TV show that take place in San Fran. Was that a thing? Like an old show?
That was a thing. Yeah, that was a thing. I don't know. For me, I've always wanted to see more from Amari Cooper. When he was with the Raiders, did he have a cup of coffee in Dallas? Did he go to Dallas?
He was really good in Dallas too. He had some breakout years, but I think with Amari Cooper is he might have some quiet games, but there's games where he will have some breakout games, but he's not a guy that's going to block a lot, so he's not going to fit well. Do I got work tonight? I don't, Grandizer. I'm off for the stay and Wednesday too.
That's why he's having a beer.
Cheers. But yeah, Mr. Cooper, man. Mr. Cooper would be good on our show, man. But can he block? No, I think Kyle would put him in a doghouse, so nah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think that kind of sums it up. I think that we kind of hit all the points with that. I thought, going just back to Mike Silver, I just thought it was interesting that he put Debo's name out there because I've kind of been, in my mind, I've been locked on Debo's not going anywhere this year. I've kind of been locked on neither of them are going anywhere this year. And I was like, I put a percentage in the tweets. I was like, oh, so there's a 0.00001% chance.
Yeah, that could happen.
There's always a chance, my man. And
but maybe the trade rumors with the Commanders was maybe we wanted Terry McLaurin out of that trade.
I don't know what that draft thing was, but the fact that the Commanders said no means that they're off the table. The Commanders are not getting Brandon Aiyuk for anything. They're not going to come off McLaurin or any other player.
You got to give us Terry McLaurin, Commanders. You got to give us McLaurin, or else we ain't taking your deal. And then, even McLaurin's a pretty good receiver. He's got
also Adam Peters has to save face, so it's not like he can send us his whole 2025 draft next year. That's a team that needs their draft picks. So I don't think that's a team that's in play for Brandon Aiyuk.
And they got
to go play with his boy Jaden Daniels, but I think it's off the table.
They got this McCaffrey kid that's McCaffrey. They got.
We could have drafted him.
We could have drafted him, but he was going to be.
Didn't.
They drafted him higher. I think we were going to get him in the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't know. This next 30 days is going to be really interesting leading up to training camp. I don't think anything's going to get done.
Yeah, we'll work on something behind the scenes. Maybe we'll try to get some Braden news with his old man, because I got a little contact with his pop, so maybe we might work something down the road. Maybe we'll get a couple ex-NFL players from our team that can come on our show, but it's only just rare occasions. We'll probably just mix it up so you guys can get different questions out of it and make the content going. So we're not going to just bring any other guests. We're just going to bring like NFL players or people within the NFL sources or something like that, So
or even if we can get any kind of, low-level celebrity that happens to be a Niners fan. I mentioned Jeremy Renner and Bailey, the wrestler, earlier to you, but I think those people would be a very hard get. But,
No, but it has to be somebody with big credentials and all that stuff. We're trying to build it bigger. But
my dream guest would be Rob Schneider, because he's a comedian.
Oh, yeah, I love
on the
that
show.
guy.
I think he's a huge Niners fan, and then we could make him do that just one time at the end when we're leaving. Like, you can.
Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah, that would be my dream get. If we could get him, that would be great. But
there's a couple of dudes that I've actually been in contact with, but they're like, there's some guys I can work with. Like, maybe with Adam Snyder, since I have connection with Adam Snyder, maybe we could work something with him. But it has to come down to his available schedule. Maybe he gives us a breakdown on the offensive lineman, or hey, I know Randy Cross is on Twitter. He could actually come right back to us.
Yeah,
you can get Randy Cross on the show. Yeah, you might need to reach out on him. Reach out to Randy Cross. He can work something with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Randy Cross would be a great guest, actually.
Cool.
He's got a lot of.
Send me his stuff, and I'll DM him and see if he wants to do it.
Yeah, you just have to go on Twitter and reach out to him, and he should get back to you very soon. But
all right, Grandizer has something real quick. We're still on 49ers Q&A. We're about to wrap it up here soon.
Nah, he's just reading articles, 2 comments. Oh, I think he's talking about trivia, true or false. Okay, give us a true and false question. Let's drop it down, Grandizer. Drop it down. Yeah, I like these questions, like 30 days of the night. What my dream guest would be? Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Is he even wrestling right now? He might be off.
He's taking recovery with I think he's recovering.
Let's both reach out to him. I'll reach out to him too.
I don't know. We'll see. I know his cousin. I've talked to his cousin sometimes, but
he's a huge Niners. He doesn't get an opportunity to talk Niners. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome, especially when he's recovering too. But it's hard with this amount of
something to do.
Oh, let's see. Okay, so Predators are Mandela effect situation. What do you think of that?
What do you mean by that?
What does he mean, like Mandela? Like Mandela? Let me
like where something happened, or you thought something happened, but it didn't actually happen, or something like that, or it happened.
I would say true. I would say true, because you don't know what's going to happen, and it could be like you just hearing a lot of stuff, so it's unexpected.
I don't know if that's what he meant. I'm not really sure what he meant.
I'm gonna look it up.
No, I mean, I know what the Mandela effect is. I just don't know what he means in the context of the 49ers.
Oh, the whisper of fall rumors. Yeah, a lot of people are putting some false reports from the Niners. Yeah, that's true.
Well, that happens all the time. I mean,
that happens all the time.
Welcome to the internet. Welcome to the internet.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, true. I'll say true, because they've been putting a lot of reports on certain other stuff, and we found out it's not the case. Like, we're just looking at the Brandon Aiyuk rumors. I don't think he's asked for a trade.
Okay, I see where he's going with that. Mandela.
I don't think he's asked for a trade or nothing. I don't think he said anything.
He hasn't formally asked for a trade at all. Yeah. Debo did. When Debo was trying to negotiate, Debo flat out said, trade me. And that was well known. It was public knowledge. Brandon has not done that. So, disgruntled Ryan Clark? I don't think so, buddy.
And you're going to interview Brandon Aiyuk. You better be more professional, buddy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I hope that's like tomorrow or like this week. I hope they do it this week.
I want to see this interview where Brandon Aiyuk puts Ryan Clark in his place, actually. I want to see him trash.
That would be great. He'd be like,
hey, where you got all your proof at? Where you got all your proof at?
Yeah, Debo would put him in place, but I don't know if BA has it in him.
He kind of seems like that kind of guy that wants attention right now. So he might want to just throw some
wants attention on the internet, but he's like a quiet person. I think his comfort zone is being on the internet, but like in person, he's like a super quiet dude.
Seems like a chill, quiet guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Players that you could have swore that played for the Niners but never did. Oh, you know what? There is some players that I swore we could have had but never got to play for us. I mean,
I think he's saying like players that you thought played for us but actually never did. I don't know if I've ever even had that happen. Have you?
Well, I've actually had a thought in my head a long ass time ago. Like, there was a player that I thought was on our team for a minute, but then I come to realize that's not even him. So I'm
do you have one Grandizer? Do you have a player?
I actually thought Marvin Harrison was on our team for a minute, but then come to find out it was Isaac Bruce.
Oh yeah,
that's all it was. Like, I guess that's what he's trying to talk about. Like,
I never think of Isaac Bruce even being on the Niners. So for me, it's almost like a reverse.
No, but he wore number 88. He wore number 88. You would think that's Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, right. But Isaac Bruce was number 80 for the Rams. So yeah, I could see where you would go wrong with that. Yeah.
But I thought for a minute that would have been Marvin Harrison, bro.
Yeah.
You wouldn't notice the difference. Like if you saw him wear the number 88 with the way he looked, you would think that's freaking Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, that was a weird fit. It's almost like when Emmitt Smith went to go play for the Cardinals.
And Rice going to the Raiders, it just didn't seem
and the
right.
Seahawks even, and the Broncos.
Not even worse.
Yeah. Gosh, I can't really think of any, to be honest with you. I don't know if I've ever had that happen. I don't think I've ever had the Mandela effect with Niners players.
Well, the weird part would be like, maybe for a minute I thought Charles Woodson was on our team, but it just didn't happen. I thought we were going to get Charles Woodson that last time with Jim Harbaugh, but we never did.
Is there any like tight ends, like Jordan?
Tony Gonzalez, bro. I always wanted that guy. He was one of my favorite tight ends. Like I still to this day will say he's one of the greatest tight ends.
Yeah.
No offense to Travis Kelce, but come on, man. Tony Gonzalez played in a tougher era.
Like when Bill Romanowski played for the 49ers, and Raiders fans say that's false. He was always a Raider. No, I don't think so, bro. Like he did, and he played for the Broncos too. So.
No, I mean, just because of what he's getting paid. He's getting paid for the Raiders. Of course, he's going to lie. So,
well, I mean, he definitely played for the Niners. So
he played for the Niners in his first career.
He was on a Super Bowl roster.
He was on a Super Bowl roster, and then he went on to the Broncos. They won a Super Bowl, and then he went to the Raiders. They lost that Super Bowl. So,
did he go to the Raiders before the Broncos?
No, he was a Niner and a Bronco. No, wait. Actually, he was a Philadelphia Eagle for a short stint, and then he went to the Broncos.
Who was that he spit in his face?
J.J. Stokes.
Yeah. that was funny.
It could have been funnier if he actually it would have been funnier in the locker room if he would have spit on Shannon Sharp. Because I can't stand Shannon Sharp's freaking takes every now and then. Like at first I used to respect him, but it would have been kind of funny if Romanowski would have spit on his face and tell him to shut up. Oh.
Yeah, Rick, we're kind of wrapping it up. We're at the tail end, but if you have any questions for us, go ahead and link them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them.
We'll go with a couple more minutes, but as of right now, we're already getting to the final of this drinking right here. So
I'm out. That's why the show's over. I'm done.
I'm gonna drink this, and then I guess we got nothing else. Let me just finish this chug, and then I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
So yeah, normally, guys, our shows are every Tuesday. We do this every Tuesday. We do a little bit of a beer review, real quick one. We don't it's not elaborate. And we're not like beer connoisseurs or anything, but we kind of just bring new beers to the table, kind of a happy hour situation. And, then we kind of do a topic or two, and then we answer questions at the end. It's every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific. I'm Central, so 5 p.m. here, and then 6 p.m. on the East Coast. And every Tuesday, we'll try to bring you something. If it's slow, sometimes we might take a week off. But throughout the season, we will do this consistently every Tuesday. Niners Brew Crew with CG and Drew every Tuesday. So
we might
like us up and subscribe to both our channels. CG Ruthless on YouTube, also TikTok.
For sure. I'm on the road
as well under 49er Sports Talk. Under Twitter, I'm Drew Kerr himself. So go ahead and just give us a follow, subscribe, all those good things. Like this video up.
For sure, and for future up events, man. I think we're planning on extending this content to a lot more other platforms. Like I think like you even said in the near future, we're planning on making something of this brand.
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to make this a thing every Tuesday night or Tuesday evening, early afternoon on the West Coast. And we'll try to give you guys our thoughts and our takes on on everything 49ers.
Oh, Grandizer. That would be a nice interview to ask Jesse Topola or Randy Cross. I think we're in the talks with Randy Cross, so we'll work something down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a good interview, actually, with both of them, actually. But I think we can get Cross in easily because he communicates quickly with us.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's a wrap for us today. This Tuesday, we will see you guys next Tuesday with or without a Brandon Aiyuk contract. Why don't you take us out, CG?
Oh, yeah. As always. Woo! Let's go Niners!